Even going to the gym today is an act of rebellion. Even being in good physical condition is an act of rebellion. If I put up a photo of me and I'm in good physical shape, there are people who write underneath it, oh, you're dumb, you train so they insult you for it. Like, you're a bad person because you have standards for yourself. That's the level of bug man they want to get you to. Of course, these people will give up meat and eat the bugs and live in the pod. They have no standards. Of course they can live in an ugly building, a big ugly matrix pod. That's all they want.
Is it somebody has to sell you on that? Or is it going back to conditioning?
Might take 10. But I'm not gonna sit and just do, you know how many people have messaged me since yesterday saying, Andrew, it's not worth it, they're too strong, they're too powerful, just shut up. I'm like, I understand why, as a woman or a coward, that crosses your mind. But let me explain something to you. That doesn't cross the mind of a warrior ever. It's not an option on the board. We're playing chess. I don't think I wish my bishop could move that way, because it can't. Whether I'm winning or losing, my bishop operates in a specific way and I can't make it do anything else. I'm not gonna quit and start putting on a dress and talking shit.
I'm not saying money alone will make you happy, but money is certainly a factor to happiness.
Yeah.
It's kind of, water won't make you happy, but if you have no water, after a week, you need water. So the rich people always say, money doesn't buy happiness, but do they ever give their money away?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
So you give your money away?
I have a charity, which I own, which takes care of street dogs in Romania. So I rescue dogs.
That's lovely.
So if you had a lot of commissary then, that makes you a target because you've got to break bread to your mates, but if you break too much bread, the moochies are going to be lined up at your cell trying to get everything you've got.
Yep.
How did you balance that?
I really do believe that 99% of people, if you treat them with respect, will give you respect back. I really believe that. Of course, there are the oddballs, and there's some people who are simply broken, and there's some people which are quicker to anger than others. But I feel like if you are pretty respectful to most people, you'll be okay. And I feel like in general, jail is just a condensed version of life for a man. I feel like it's just hyper condensed. If you get angry in traffic, you wouldn't be able to survive jail. You get angry quicker, people get angry quicker, you have to be more polite, you have to be more quiet sometimes. I would make sure that my family had core parameters and core beliefs that we believed in, and I would fact check everything my child was told against those core parameters and core beliefs. So let's say one of our core parameters and core beliefs was hard work. We believed in hard work and dedication. When they came home and told me something about body shaming or the fact that models can change, I'd say, does that agree with the beliefs and the merits that this family has decided we're going to operate under? Yes or no? I would have a framework, I would have a gate which ideas have to penetrate through. Every idea has to be fact checked against a gate, a parameters of set values that was stuck to my last name. Honor, courage, discipline, hard work, whatever those parameters are.
This is the truth about masculinity, right? It's very easy for women to sit here and complain about the top 2% of men because I dealt with this guy, he's arrogant, blah, 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 blah. Most men don't even fucking exist. They send 10,000 DMs and never even get read, let alone replied to. So if you just sit here and say, I'll get a G, a big G, a boss, a millionaire, and let him have a day off, very nice of you. But if a guy who wanted to have days off all the time, he never would have got important enough in the first place to attract a woman like you. As a man, you have to outcompete the other men who are prepared to get up and do it anyway.
I wasn't being aggressive, I wasn't trying to start a fight. But he bumped into me effectively. In fact, I didn't even do anything wrong. He bumped into me, and I said sorry. So you better say it back, sir. And I feel like if you approach life that way, you'll be okay.
Yeah, people don't understand how combustible it is. Like you could be walking past someone, they say, what are you looking at? Looking at nothing. You calling me nothing?
Yeah.
Next thing, bam.
And that's one thing that actually, I think prisons, of course, I say I think, I'm sure I know. Prisons are different all around the world. And I feel like an American jail, perhaps in many ways, would be more violent than a Romanian jail. It didn't feel violent. It felt sad. I don't know how to explain it. It didn't feel like a violent place. There was the capability of many to be violent, and there certainly was tinges of violence in the air sometimes. I'm often called too nice. I'm called too nice far too often. I feel like the best thing I can be in this situation is to not be emotional about what's happening to me. Because if I'm emotional, I don't think it allows me to think rationally. And I look at it very simply, and I ask the people at home who don't believe in the Matrix, think of it this simply. If you owned a company and you had members of staff, and you wanted your members of staff to act in a certain way, and you had a couple members of staff who continually defied your orders and wouldn't do as you told them or asked them to do, even though what you need them to do is to the best interests of the company as a whole. They're coming along and acting different than you want them to act, and it's damaging your bottom line. You would fire them. Well, you can think of the world as a company, and they have decided that certain ideas are good for them.
Pressure makes diamonds.
You think I didn't have pressure to perform when I sat down with the BBC and they tried to set me up? You think I didn't realize instantly? Okay, war. She's ready. You think there's no pressure? You think there's no pressure when they try and stab you to death? There's no pressure in life. You're gonna raise a child and say, don't give him no pressure, give him no standards, so he can just be a kid. And what's he gonna mold into? Absolutely and utterly not. Life is pressure, especially as a man. You need to have these exacting standards. That's how it is. My whole life was a pressure to perform to my last name. That's all it's ever been. I don't know how anyone's raised any other way. So yeah, it's crazy. It's a very difficult problem to fix. So I'm kind of in the position where my enemies can do very little but immortalize me. I may go to jail. I may not. I'm immortal if I do. I'm immortal if I don't. I'm immortal if you put a bullet in my head. In fact, the harder you punish me, the quicker you're going to lose your grip on power. So God has put me in a very fortunate situation, and all it takes is for me to have huge balls and to not be a bitch. And as my brother would say, quite pertinently and astutely, to be a fucking tough guy. So that's what I'm going to do.
Andrew, I wish you all the power of Bruce Lee, the moon, the universe, taking down these reptilian, shape-shifting, lizard conscious. Give me a promise.
But before you get to that point, you have to go through all the hard shit. And the hard shit I've broken down to the 3 basics. And I think that's why they're coming to attack me so heavily. Because genuinely, because of what you just said, I'm telling kids things. And especially people often ask me, especially Matrix Media, they say, why did you get so big? Because I'm telling the truth. I'm telling the truth, which every man knows is intrinsically true in his heart, because God has instilled him with a basic degree of morality of right and wrong. I'm saying things to a 17-year-old boy and he's going, he makes sense. I get it. Everything I was told so far just didn't quite click, but this does. And that's what they're so scared of. And I agree with you. You're completely right.
Why don't you just give up as if I'm some kind of coward, as if that was ever an option for me? I'm sure for the average person that would be an option, but the average person wouldn't end up where I am. So no, I don't give up and I don't quit and I'm stubborn and you're gonna have to kill me because that's who I am. But the average person's like, if I had your money, I'd just buy a few houses around the world and I'd just go on holiday and sit on the beach. Showing that their mind is so empty. Well, all you're basically doing is telling me why you'll never have my money, because you're an empty vessel. If you think sand and a cocktail is all it takes for happiness and fulfillment as opposed to struggle and war, well, then you don't deserve riches. But this idea of having a few houses around the world, you don't own those houses. They are not yours. You can get any piece of paper you want saying you own that house. Piss off the government and you will see how quickly you lose that house and everything in it. None of this is about what's happened. The people who are obsessed with my case are actually very small thinking. People say to me, oh, but what about the case? I'm like, you are focused. I'm pointing at the moon and you're staring at my finger. You're missing the heavenly glory, as Bruce Lee said, because you're obsessed with my finger. You think this is about a human case because you're a dummy. You're a dumbass. It's about the moon and the stars. It's about how the world functions. It's about the fact that war has never been anything other than the ability to influence minds. The reason they roll tanks into a certain geographical area is so they can gain control over the media, over the money, over the ability to school those children, to control minds. That's why the MSM exists. That's why it's free. That's why they pump it everywhere. They need to control people's minds. So if someone like me can affect the way people think, I am a combatant in a war. This is what amazes me when men go, I struggle with motivation. How can you struggle with motivation in the modern world? Are you asking to just lose? Are you asking to just be erased from humanity?
Yep.
Are you asking to be invisible? How can you be an 18-year-old man and say, I don't have the motivation to train as hard as possible and get as rich as possible? You are born to lose if you don't have motivation at 18. I did make some very clear observations. I noticed how much I am purposefully distracting myself in the outside world. And I think all humans do this. You distract yourself because 1, you have things to do. And 2, if you start to feel an emotion or have a thought you don't like, you just instantly distract yourself. You get on your phone. If you're sitting there and you think of something sad, like you lost your parent and you think of it, the first thing you do, I guarantee within 3 seconds, is grab your phone and load up TikTok. And you distract your mind. Or you start working. Or if you think of someone, you call them. Or you text them. I need to talk to them about this. Okay. And you do it.
Jail's weird because you have all these thoughts. You can't distract yourself. You can't action them. You can't talk to the people you're thinking about.
Every single man at the top echelon of life is a calculated man. You don't get there by accident.
Okay, so do you want to get to the top?
I'm already at the top echelon. And when you're at the top echelon of men, it's a very, very calculated process. You don't get there by accident. Nothing good in life happens on accident. When you say men don't lie because you believe in actions, I'm saying a lot of actions are lies.
Am I high-value women in your eyes?
You're very good looking, so I would say, yeah, absolutely, you're beautiful. You seem like you're a good person. You seem intelligent. You're not stupid. So I'd say you're a high-value woman, but your actions dictate that, right? The most important actions a woman can take is loyalty. Every man out there knows that.
Well, then it's over, isn't it? It's becoming more and more difficult. We're in a position now where you have a racetrack and you have Ferraris and Nissans. And yeah, we can discuss how the Nissan might beat the Ferrari, but the truth is, it's hard. It's very, very hard. If I was a man and I was starting all over again, I would do the same things I did. I would wake up and say, okay, this game is extremely difficult. My best chance is to level up my character to a point where the game becomes easy. Because life does become easy at a certain point. Yes, now I'm in a very unique situation. But before this situation, I had only 3 problems in my life. My health, which I take care of, my woman, who I take care of, and money. That was it. If I made enough money, I had no other problem.
I think that as a man, you can build an empire. There's conquest as a man. And I think as a female, it's not quite the same. And I'm not saying this in any kind of way that disrespects females. I don't want people to look at this and think I'm disrespecting females. I'm not. I'm saying we have different roles. We do different things. And women give life. Women have a very, very important role, probably the most important role in society. Women are beautiful creatures that do something separate that men cannot do. I think a top-tier male is more unique than a beautiful woman. I think that you get to build an empire. I think that you get to be respected and feared in a way that women never are. I understand that that's a very, very unique human experience, right?
You'd be amazed how far just telling the truth will get you. In any situation, I can give you benign situations that don't even matter. Your girlfriend caught you. Oh, and no, and I barely know her. Just say yes, sorry. I love you, I'd love to stay together. But you did this, sorry. I'm leaving. Okay, goodbye. Next day she's back. You just tell the truth. It could have gone on for weeks. She could have kept spying. She could have called the girl, all this drama. Just sometimes in life, you just man up and tell the truth.